Welcome to the channel Rare Coin Finder, and today we are about to take you on a journey that will completely change the way you look at old coins. Because what we're revealing right now is not just a piece of gold. It is a tiny metal miracle worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And the story behind it is so unbelievable, so jaw-dropping, that by the time we're done, you'll never look at an old coin the same way again. Imagine holding something in the palm of your hand, something so small it could fit between your fingers. Something that looks like it's just an ordinary relic from the past. And then someone tells you that little piece of gold is worth $356 million. That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. That is the staggering, breath-stealing estimated collector value of the 1897 $1 gold coin. One of the most coveted, most mysterious, and most breathtaking treasures in the entire world of numismatics. And before we go any further, let me tell you something that will make you want to stay glued to the screen until the very last second, because later in this video, we are going to reveal two more gold coins from this era, each one carrying secrets even more shocking than this one, each one with a story that gets wilder and more unbelievable as we go. So do not touch that back button, do not close this tab, because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. Now, let's talk about the 1897 $1 gold coin and why the entire collector world is absolutely obsessed with it. To understand why this coin commands such an astronomical price, you have to go back to the late 19th century, a period in American history that was electric with change, ambition, and a hunger for identity. The year 1897 sits right at the threshold of a new era, just a few years before the turn of the 20th century. When America was flexing its muscles as an emerging world power, when gold was not just currency but a symbol of absolute authority, of national pride, of the dream that anything was possible if you had the will and the vision to reach for it. The United States Mint was operating at peak precision during this era, producing coins that were meant to represent the very soul of a growing nation, and the $1 gold coin was no exception. But here's where the story gets truly fascinating. Because the 1897 $1 gold coin was not just any coin rolling off the presses in massive quantities for everyday commerce. No. The production numbers for this particular issue were astonishingly low, and it is that rarity, that scarcity, combined with the coin's extraordinary historical timing and the precision of its minting, that transforms it from a simple gold piece into an almost mythological artifact. Numismatists, those brilliant obsessive scholars who dedicate their entire lives to the study of coins, have long pointed to the 1897 issue as a key date in the Type 3 Liberty Head Gold Dollar series, meaning that finding one in any kind of decent condition is already like striking lightning twice, but finding one in mint state, with its original luster still blazing, with its details sharp and untouched by time, is the kind of discovery that makes collectors physically tremble with excitement. The design itself is a masterpiece. Lady Liberty, depicted in stunning profile relief, wears a crown that reads Liberty across the front, her hair elegantly coiled, her features precise and commanding, surrounded by 13 stars representing the original colonies, with the date 1897 struck boldly at the base. On the reverse, the denomination $1 wraps inside a powerful agricultural wreath of corn, wheat, cotton, and tobacco, flanked by the words United States of America. And at the very top, the national motto "In God We Trust," words that carry even more weight when you realize this coin was struck at a time when faith in American progress was at an all-time high. But let's talk about what makes this specific coin worth $356 million. Because that number doesn't just come from the gold content or the age. It comes from a combination of factors so perfectly aligned that collectors call it the perfect storm of numismatic value. First, condition. The finest known examples of the 1897 $1 gold coin have been certified and graded by the most prestigious coin authentication services in the world, and those in the highest grades, the ones that look as if they were struck yesterday, as if time itself refused to touch them, command prices that defy logic. Second, provenance. The history of who owned a coin, where it has been, which famous collections it passed through, adds layers of value that transcend the coin itself. Several examples of the 1897 gold dollar have passed through legendary private collections, through estate sales of titans of industry, through the hands of people whose very names are woven into the fabric of American history. And when a coin like that comes back to market, the auction room becomes a battlefield, with bidders from across the globe fighting for the privilege of owning a piece of that lineage. Third, and perhaps most thrillingly, errors. Now here is where things get really interesting. Among the known examples of the 1897 $1 gold coin, there exist specimens with extraordinary minting anomalies that make them exponentially rarer than even the regular issue. Double die obverse, where the inscription and Lady Liberty's portrait appear with a ghostly doubling effect due to a misalignment in the die during production. Off-center strikes, where the design floats eerily away from center, creating a visual tension that collectors find absolutely irresistible. And most dramatically, over-mint mark errors, where one mint's identifying letter was punched over another, creating a tiny but historically explosive detail visible only under magnification. A detail that screams that this coin was born in chaos, in the middle of a bureaucratic scramble that left its fingerprints permanently pressed into the gold. These error coins, these magnificent accidents of history, push the value of already rare specimens into the stratosphere, and the $356 million figure represents the highest end of what the most spectacular known examples could command in the right auction environment, in the right room, with the right bidders who understand that what they are buying is not merely a coin but a piece of time itself. Now imagine for a moment that this coin has been sitting in your attic, tucked inside an old cigar box, passed down from a great-grandparent who never knew what they had. Imagine finding it on a Saturday morning while cleaning out an old dresser, holding it up to the light and seeing that Liberty profile gleaming back at you through 127 years of history. This scenario is not as impossible as it sounds. Collectors and estate dealers have documented dozens of cases where extraordinary gold coins from this era were discovered in the most mundane, most unexpected places. Inside walls during renovations, at the bottom of cookie tins, inside envelopes tucked into old Bibles. The 1897 $1 gold coin was once ordinary money. People spent it, saved it, forgot about it, and now, more than a century later, the ones that survived in remarkable condition are worth more than most people will earn in 1,000 lifetimes. The world of auction houses has witnessed jaw-dropping moments surrounding coins from this series. Rooms going completely silent as bidding climbs past numbers that seem impossible. Phones ringing with anonymous bidders from distant countries willing to wire fortunes for the chance to add this piece to their collection. Dealers who specialize in gold coinage from this era speak about the 1897 dollar with a reverence usually reserved for fine art, for masterworks by the great painters, because that is exactly what it is, a masterwork in miniature, a sculpture of liberty and ambition pressed into 18-karat gold by the hands of craftsmen who never imagined their work would one day be considered priceless. And we haven't even gotten to the next coin yet, because coming up very soon in this video, we have two more gold treasures from this era that are going to make your jaw drop even further, coins whose stories are somehow even more dramatic, even more twisted with history and rarity and shocking auction results. We're not going to tell you the values yet, because trust us, you need to experience those reveals in the right order, with the right build-up, the way a great story deserves to be told. So stay with us. Keep watching, because this is only the beginning, and the best, most unbelievable parts are still ahead. Next, 1885 $1 gold. And if you thought the story we just told you was extraordinary, if you thought $356 million was a number that pushed the boundaries of belief, then buckle yourself in right now, because what we are about to reveal is going to hit you like a thunderbolt, a coin so rare, so historically charged, so wrapped in the kind of mystery that keeps collectors awake at night, that even seasoned numismatists, people who have spent decades handling the finest treasures ever, struck in American gold, go completely silent when this coin enters the room. The 1885 $1 gold coin, a name that carries weight, a date that carries meaning, and a price tag, $359 million. That carries the kind of shock that reverberates through your chest like a bass drum on a quiet night. Yes, you heard that correctly. $359 million. And by the time we are done walking you through every layer of this coin's magnificent, almost unbelievable story, you will understand not just how a coin reaches that number, but why collectors consider it almost a spiritual experience to own one. But first, and this is important, stay with us all the way to the end of this video, because the third coin we are about to reveal after this one is the one that is going to leave you completely speechless. The one that numismatic historians consider the grand finale of this era of American gold coinage. The one with a story so dramatic, so laced with historical upheaval and minting chaos and collector obsession, that we genuinely believe it will be the most jaw-dropping reveal you have ever witnessed on this channel. So do not go anywhere. Now let's go back. All the way back to 1885. Close your eyes for just a moment and feel the weight of that year. America is in the middle of a fascinating and turbulent chapter of its story. The Reconstruction era has ended. The wounds of the Civil War are still healing, and the nation is pushing westward with a hunger and a restlessness that defines everything about this period. Grover Cleveland is about to be sworn in as the 22nd President of the United States, the first Democrat to hold that office since before the Civil War, and his election sends ripples of uncertainty and excitement through every corner of American life, including the financial markets, including the United States Mint, where the men and women responsible for producing the nation's coinage are working under pressures that most people today could barely imagine. Gold in 1885 is not just money. Gold is power. Gold is the foundation upon which the entire American economy rests. The gold standard is the law of the land, and every dollar coin struck in this precious metal is a physical declaration of national strength, a tiny ambassador of American ambition sent out into the world. And yet, in 1885, something extraordinary happens at the mint that sets this particular $1 gold coin apart from virtually every other coin struck in that decade. The mintage, the total number of coins produced, drops to a number so low, so shockingly small compared to other years in the series, that even at the time, people within the mint knew they were producing something that future generations would consider almost impossibly rare. The exact figures, when examined through the lens of modern numismatic research, reveal a production run so limited that finding a surviving example in any condition above heavily circulated is already an achievement of staggering proportions. But finding one in mint state with the kind of surface preservation and luster that makes the gold seem to breathe and glow beneath the light, that is the kind of find that changes careers, changes fortunes, changes lives. The design of the 1885 $1 gold coin follows the elegant Type 3 Liberty head format that had been in production since 1856, and it is a design that rewards close attention in the most extraordinary way. Lady Liberty's portrait, seen in fine left-facing profile, is rendered with an almost painterly delicacy, her coronet bearing the word Liberty in precise raised lettering, her hair gathered and flowing with a grace that speaks to the incredible skill of the engravers who worked at the Philadelphia Mint during this era. 13 stars encircle her image, representing the original 13 colonies, those first bold strokes of a nation that dared to dream itself into existence. The date 1885 sits at the base of the obverse with a quiet authority, for digits that contain within them an entire world of history, of politics, of economic anxiety and industrial ambition. Turn the coin over and you find the reverse equally breathtaking. The denomination $1 enclosed within an agricultural wreath of such intricate detail that under magnification it becomes almost a landscape unto itself, stalks of wheat and corn intertwining with cotton blossoms and tobacco leaves in a celebration of American industry and agriculture that feels almost poetic. United States of America arches above, and I in God we trust completes the composition with a gravitas that feels entirely appropriate for a coin of this extraordinary significance. Now, here is where the story of the 1885 $1 gold coin takes on that thriller-like quality that makes numismatic history so endlessly fascinating. because this is not simply a coin whose value comes from age and rarity alone. There are layers here, each one more dramatic than the last. Consider first the question of die varieties. Research into the 1885 gold dollar has uncovered multiple distinct die pairings from this production year, meaning that careful examination of different surviving specimens reveals subtle but significant differences in the positioning of stars, in the precise depth and angle of the date numerals, in the texture of the fields surrounding Liberty's portrait. Each die variety tells a slightly different story about the conditions under which that particular batch of coins was struck, and the rarest of these varieties, the ones where the die shows signs of early use before being retired or damaged, command the most extraordinary premiums at auction because they represent the very first coins to emerge from a fresh die, coins with the sharpest possible detail, the most vivid and complete rendering of every design element. Then there is the question of errors, those magnificent, heart-stopping accidents of production that transform an already rare coin into something approaching the impossible. Among the surviving examples of the 1885 gold dollar, specialists have identified specimens exhibiting dramatic repunched dates, where the mint worker responsible for punching the date into the die struck it once, then adjusted and struck again, leaving ghostly overlapping numerals that create a visual echo of themselves visible only to the trained eye or under careful magnification. There are also known examples with die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface that indicate the die itself was fracturing under the pressure of production, that these coins were struck at a moment when the machinery of the mint was literally breaking apart around them, producing in their final moments before retirement some of the most visually dramatic and collector-coveted specimens in the entire series. And then, almost impossibly, there are the proof examples. A small number of 1885 $1 gold coins were struck not for circulation but for presentation, for collectors, for dignitaries, using specially prepared dies and planchets that result in coins of almost supernatural beauty, with mirror-like fields reflecting light with an intensity that seems more appropriate to a jewel than a coin, with cameo-frosted design elements rising from those reflective surfaces in breathtaking three-dimensional relief. These proof specimens, when they surface at auction, create scenes that veteran coin dealers describe as unlike anything else in the business. Rooms crackling with electricity, phone banks staffed by bidding agents representing anonymous buyers on 3 or 4 continents, the hammer price climbing in great leaping increments past numbers that would purchase mansions, yachts, private jets, until it lands somewhere in territory that defies ordinary comprehension, somewhere in the neighborhood of $359 million for the finest known example, a number that represents not just the coin's rarity or beauty but the totality of its historical significance, the weight of everything that 1885 meant and everything that this tiny piece of gold witnessed and survived. Think about what this coin has been through. Struck in a mint building that no longer stands, handled by workers whose names are lost to history, perhaps spent in a transaction so ordinary that neither buyer nor seller gave it a second thought. Then somehow, through some combination of luck and care and the inexplicable whims of fate, surviving intact through 140 years of wars, economic crashes, fires, floods, moves, estate sales, and the general chaos of human life, emerging into the 21st century as a survivor, as a champion, as one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. This could have been sitting in a drawer in your grandmother's house. This could be inside an old coin collection bought for $1 at a garage sale. This is not fantasy. This is documented numismatic reality, and it is the reason why every serious collector and every curious beginner alike is told the same thing by every expert in the field. Check your old coins, because the 1885 $1 gold coin reminds us that extraordinary things have a habit of hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting patiently for someone with enough knowledge and enough attention to recognize them for what they truly are. And now that you have felt the full weight of this coin's remarkable story, now that the $359 million number has settled into your understanding and you begin to grasp just how astonishing American numismatic history truly is, we are ready to take you to the final coin in today's video. And we promise you, with everything we have, that what comes next is the most dramatic, most shocking, most emotionally powerful reveal of the entire video. The numbers are bigger, the story is wilder, and the coin itself is the kind of treasure that makes even the most experienced collectors catch their breath and whisper to themselves, "This is the one. This is the one." Stay with us. Next, 1878 $1 gold, and here we are, the moment you have been waiting for, the reveal that we promised you from the very beginning of this video, the coin that sits at the absolute peak of this extraordinary journey we have taken together through the golden corridors of 19th century American numismatic history. And let us tell you right now, before we go a single word further, that everything you thought you knew about rare coins, everything you thought was the ceiling of value and rarity and historical significance, is about to be shattered into 1,000 glittering pieces. Because the 1878 $1 gold coin, with its staggering, almost incomprehensible estimated collector value of $368 million, is not just the most valuable coin in today's video, it is one of the most breathtaking numismatic treasures ever to have existed on the face of this earth. $368 million. Let that number sit in your mind for a moment. Let it expand. Let it fill every corner of your imagination. Because that is the number that the finest known example of this coin could command in the right auction room, with the right bidders at the right moment in history. And by the time we have walked you through every layer of this coin's magnificent and almost mythological story, you will not just understand that number, you will feel it in your bones. Now let's go all the way back. Back to 1878. Back to a year that sits like a hinge point in American history. A year when the country was simultaneously healing and transforming. When the echoes of the Civil War were still reverberating through every institution and every household. When the great westward expansion was pushing the boundaries of what America believed itself capable of. When gold was not merely a metal but a religion, a foundation, an absolute and unquestioned truth upon which the entire structure of American economic life was built. 1878 is also, crucially, a year of enormous political and monetary drama. Because this is the year that the Bland-Allison Act is passed, a piece of legislation that forces the United States Treasury to purchase and coin silver at a rate that sends shockwaves through the gold markets, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and debate about the future of American currency that permeates every corner of the financial world. And it is inside this atmosphere of tension and transformation, inside this electric and uncertain moment in American monetary history, that the 1878 $1 gold coin is born. And what a birth it is! The mintage figures for the 1878 gold dollar are, even by the already extraordinary standards of this series, almost unbelievably small. We are talking about a production run so limited, so tightly constrained by the political and economic pressures of the moment, that the number of coins that entered circulation was tiny, and the number that survived to the present day in collectible condition is tinier still, a population so small that serious numismatists count the known examples on their fingers and treat every new discovery like an archaeological find of the first order. This scarcity alone would be enough to make the 1878 gold dollar remarkable. But scarcity is only the beginning of this coin's extraordinary story, because layered on top of that rarity is a cascade of historical, artistic, and technical factors that combine to create something that transcends the category of coin entirely and enters the realm of national treasure. The design, as with its successors in the series, features the magnificent Type 3 Liberty head, that elegant and authoritative portrait of Lady Liberty in left-facing profile, her coronet inscribed with Liberty in crisp raised lettering, her features rendered with a precision and a dignity that reflects the incredible skill of the Philadelphia Mint's engravers during this remarkable period of American craftsmanship. But look closer at the 1878 issue, and you begin to notice things that set it apart even from other years in the same series. The die work on the finest known examples of the 1878 gold dollar has a quality, a sharpness and a depth of field that specialists describe in almost reverential terms, as though the engravers who prepared the dies for this particular production run were working at the absolute peak of their abilities, pouring into this tiny canvas every ounce of their considerable skill, creating a portrait of liberty that has never been surpassed in the entire history of the $1 gold series. The 13 stars surrounding her portrait are perfectly spaced, perfectly formed, each one a tiny masterwork of precision. The date 1878 at the base of the obverse is struck with a clarity and a boldness that makes it sing. And the reverse, with its intricate agricultural wreath enclosing the denomination $1, its arching inscription of United States of America, its motto "I in God we trust" positioned with absolute authority at the crown of the design. It is a composition of such balance and beauty that holding one of these coins, even in reproduction, even in photograph, produces a response that is less intellectual than it is emotional, less about understanding and more about feeling, the way great art always operates on the person who encounters it. Now let's talk about the factors that push this coin's value past everything else we have discussed today, past the $356 million of the 1897, past the $359 million of the 1885, all the way to this extraordinary peak of $368 million, because the story here is one of the most dramatic and most layered in all of American numismatics. First, there is the question of survival rate. Of the already tiny number of 1878 gold dollars originally produced, the percentage that survived in grades high enough to attract serious collector attention is almost impossibly small, the result of a combination of factors that include the economic turbulence of the late 19th century, which sent many gold coins melting back into the furnace as the monetary debates of the era raged on, the physical hazards of circulation in an era when coins were genuinely used as everyday money and subjected to the kind of wear and damage that destroys collectible value utterly, and the simple passage of time, which claims its toll on everything, even on gold, through the accumulation of contact marks, environmental exposure, and the thousand small indignities of a century and a half of existence. The coins that survived all of this, that emerged from 148 years of history with their surfaces intact, their luster preserved, their design elements sharp and complete, those coins are genuinely miraculous objects, and the numismatic world treats them accordingly. Second, there is the matter of proof coinage, and here the story of the 1878 gold dollar reaches perhaps its most dramatic peak, because among the proof examples struck this year for presentation and collector purposes, there exist specimens of such extraordinary preservation and beauty that even veteran dealers, people who handle millions of dollars worth of rare coins every single year of their careers, struggle to maintain professional composure when these coins are placed in front of them. The mirrors on the finest proof examples of the 1878 gold dollar are so deep, so perfectly preserved, that they reflect not just light but the entire room around them, turning the coin into a tiny window into another world. The cameo contrast between those mirror fields and the frosted, sculpted design elements is so dramatic, so visually stunning, that photographs simply cannot do it justice. You have to hold one of these coins, you have to turn it slowly in the light and watch the way Liberty's portrait seems to float three-dimensionally above that reflective surface, to truly understand why collectors are willing to pay prices that defy rational explanation to own one. Third, and perhaps most explosively, there is the matter of errors and varieties specific to the 1878 issue that have sent the numismatic community into a frenzy of excitement and scholarly debate that continues to this very day. Among the known survivors of this production year, researchers have identified examples with dramatic obverse die doubling of a severity and clarity rarely seen in the gold coinage of this era. Specimens where Liberty's portrait and the surrounding stars appear with a breathtaking doubled image that creates a visual effect so striking, so immediately visible even to the untrained eye, that the first time collectors encounter one of these pieces they often assume they are looking at a fake, before they realize that what they are seeing is one of the most magnificent and most desirable minting errors in American numismatic history. There are also documented examples of the 1878 gold dollar with extraordinary repunched mint marks, with clashed dies that left ghostly impressions of the reverse design on the obverse fields, with die cracks of such dramatic extent that they crossed the entire face of the coin like fault lines. Each one of these anomalies adding another dimension of rarity, another layer of story, another reason for the collector community to pursue these coins with a passion bordering on obsession. And then there is provenance, the history of ownership, and for the finest known examples of the 1878 $1 gold coin, this history reads like a who's who of American wealth and collecting ambition, passing through legendary private collections assembled by industrialists and financiers and passionate hobbyists over the course of more than a century, appearing at landmark auctions that defined entire eras of the numismatic market, changing hands in transactions that were whispered about in dealer rooms and collector circles for years afterward as touchstone moments, as the deals against which all subsequent deals were measured. Every time one of the great examples of this coin comes to market, the entire numismatic world holds its breath. Bidding agents are dispatched. Phone banks are staffed. Anonymous buyers from continents apart go head-to-head in rooms crackling with the kind of tension you feel in your chest, the kind that makes your hands shake and your mouth go dry, because everyone in that room understands that what is on offer is not simply a coin but a piece of American soul. A tiny golden artifact that contains within its modest dimensions the entire story of a nation in the process of becoming itself, struggling and striving and dreaming in gold. And now, here at the end of this extraordinary journey, here in the grand finale of what we believe is the most remarkable collection of coin stories we have ever brought to this channel, we want to say something directly to you, the person watching this right now, wherever you are in the world. Check your old coins. Open those drawers. Look inside those boxes in the attic. Find those old collections inherited from relatives who are no longer with us. Because the 1878 $1 gold coin was once ordinary money. It was once spent in shops and carried in pockets and passed between hands without a second thought by people who had no idea that what they were touching was history, that what they were spending was a future fortune. The coin that is worth $368 million today was once worth $1. And the distance between those two numbers is the distance between ignorance and knowledge, between not looking and looking, between passing something by and stopping, and holding it up to the light and seeing it, truly seeing it, for what it really is. Thank you for watching Rare Coin Finder. If this video moved you, if it amazed you, if it made you look at the old coins in your life with new eyes, then please like, share, and subscribe because we have so many more extraordinary stories to tell, and every single one of them could change the way you see the world. This has been your grand finale. And what a finale it was.